I just realized I just started this video and I didn't even think where to start. So I'm going to try to keep it short because I do have sauce reducing on the stove, and that is a self-limiting. Intentional, I suppose. So, yeah, tragedy struck. Yeah, the cells are alive, but that fish is not coming back from where it went. And I wish I'd done my video 2 weeks ago when I said I was going to, because you would have seen 3 happy jellyfish. Oh my goodness. So I have a lot of things to share with you though. I need to do this video because for those of you who actually are interested in doing jellyfish or just mildly amused by my antics, I think you will find that I did learn some interesting things this past, what are we at? All right, so I set up the tank in early April. I did my first 30-day review early May, like the 3rd of May, I think. You can look it up, I have no idea. It is now the last week of August. Okay? God, look at those things. I have learned some things from others and from personal experience that I would like to share with you, because if you're going to try this, you need to know. Cannot stress that enough. You need to know these things. So, first off, let's reintroduce. This is the Nano cylinder from, well, aside from the lid, that's my lid. That's the cat-proof lid that allows airflow for this cooling fan. Yeah, I'll go over that. Cat-proof, as in I have a new kitten who will probably make her appearance at some point. Okay. I will not recommend this tank without many disclaimers and practically a death sentence. Sorry. You must make modifications to this aquarium. It is not a kit that is everything you need. You must modify. Now, I have many other aquariums. Like, what, I have 6 currently running? Yeah, this is the 7th. So I've technically had 7 aquariums running. I've had 7 in the past. I have some experience in doing this. Yes, I know. No aquarium is complete. It's you need to customize for your animal, for the environment that you want, for your water quality, etc., etc. However, when you're dealing with something that you know is a new experience for even the most experienced hobbyists, even the most experienced saltwater hobbyists, you've got to be thorough. And JellyfishArt did an excellent job doing videos for tutorials, much better than their manual. I've already told you their manual kind of sucks. But their videos are fantastic. They have excellent customer support in questions. They have a useful Facebook group that if you get past the trolls and the people who just tend to overfeed their tanks and destroy their tanks, if you get past that, you will find some very good information and learn from others' experience. I think that's fantastic, and I hope they continue to do that in spite of the fact that this tank just isn't good enough. Okay, here's why. All right, I've already gone over some things in my 30-day review. It was painfully obvious that there were some things wrong. That hasn't changed. Now, I hope my fingers, oh dear, I'm sticking my finger in the video camera away. Sorry about that. I am doing this on my phone, and I'm doing this just at the spur of the moment because I am trying to document this before these little things disappear into nothing. All right. So, what I have learned. Okay. The last time I did the video was what, May, the beginning of May. Okay. I have learned since then, if I didn't mention already, shoot. I do forget who I've spoken to. I apologize. Water. I'm using distilled water to mix my salt water. Been working great, but you have to watch what brand you're using. How they distill the water is very important. You don't want copper in your water, but I will tell you that Walmart's vapor distilled brand of water has been the best for me for these jellyfish, and that has been the experience of many other hobbyists. Kind of by accident, really. We just went for cheap water, and then we started experimenting with other cheap water, and oops. Here's the nice thing about jellyfish. They tell you immediately, in terms of body language, if something's wrong. Now, those of you who keep fish know that all fish do this. Okay, you can look at an animal and know, wow, something's wrong, without even testing the water or anything. You can do this with jellyfish too, only it's very obvious immediately. They will start spreading out and not pulsing much, and they'll just start floating and just going with the current and not pulsing. And they just became sluggish and more likely to catch in the intake, in filter intakes. So they will tell you immediately if there's something wrong, and it isn't something that you can postpone dealing with. I think that's the polite way of saying it, because jellyfish aren't like other fish. They constantly grow or shrink depending on how much food they're getting and how safe their environment is. It's incredible how quickly they can grow and how quickly they can shrink, and how quickly they heal too. They need food all the time. You can't be skipping days on these things. It's not healthy. All right, they will shrink. Yeah, experience talking. Okay, and they eat all the time, and it's fascinating. So you need to keep the current strong enough that they can pulse and catch their food, but weak enough that they're not buffeted around and can't pulse and catch their food. All right, so in that regard, if you get jellyfish in the future, please make sure they're all the same size. That way you can adjust the water flow and all your fish are equally happy. That is relevant, and I'll tell you why. Okay, so distilled water, brand matters. Be careful. I knew right away that something was wrong when I used a different brand. It had nothing to do with temperature or everything, because what I did, I suppose, is I mix my water the night before, my salt water the night before, and leave it out in the room that I'm going, in this room, and so it becomes room temperature, same as the tank. So that when I do my water changes, the salinity is almost the same. The salinity is the same. This tank is fantastic. It doesn't, I mean, really, I appreciate that it doesn't evaporate, but of course there's no strong light overhead, so of course it's not going to evaporate much. It doesn't evaporate much, and it's a good, it's a basic system, it should work. But the point is, when you're doing your water changes, it's so easy to do. There's no reason you should screw this up, okay? So when you do your water changes, and you'll know immediately if something's wrong, and you know what the culprit is. It's almost always just what you just did, all right? When I learned, it was because of the distilled water brand. As soon as I changed the brand that afternoon, I was like, oh crap, I gotta go get my brand. And I did. They were fine after that. I did my water change, did another water change the next day. They were fine. It was the brand of water. Sorry about that. I think I lost focus. I'm shaking my phone all around. If I start gesturing with the hand that's holding the phone, this won't help you. Okay. The other thing I learned about these guys is temperature. So the other modification that it was suggested to me, and I liked the idea, but I didn't try it, and now I very much regret not trying it, is putting a mesh piece against the filter intakes in the back there. Now, the animals could still get trapped against the mesh, but at least they wouldn't get sucked into the intakes and cut up, because those intakes are, well, it looks to me like they've been sawed and cut, not molded and smoothed down. In fact, can you see that? Those are cut. Some of them are cut to you. It's either cut or a very, very, very poor mold, and that will shred your animals. All right? Please try to cover that if you get one of these. I can direct you to the link where someone was posting another link to an Amazon.com product when you can cut that to suit your tank, and I really think that will help you out a lot, because even at lowest water flow, you will have times where these things just get caught, and if they get caught on one of those sharp edges, they're cut up, and they will heal. Okay, they will heal. Jellyfish are fantastic at healing themselves. Incredible, and I'll tell you my experience with that. Yeah, unfortunately I have experience with that. They're incredible. However, they shouldn't have to heal, all right? So that's two things. Watch your water. Make sure you clean up the excess food. I did actually try to feed them just a little bit ago, so that's why there's stuff at the bottom, and I turned the water flow down because they would be totally shredded, and then I wouldn't have anything to record on this video if I had kept the water flow as it normally is. Any gurgling you hear is actually the 29-gallon freshwater planted tank behind me with the loaches. So it's not this tank that you're hearing, if you're hearing anything at all. Okay. Wow, I was trying to stay on point. That didn't work. Pick up your excess food, the uneaten food. Get a mesh piece for the back of the filter. Get a cooling fan for when it's a little warm. And you'll need to rig some sort of mesh thing on the top of the tank so that you can, you know, get some airflow. And anyway, and get a heater, a small heater. If you have to, cut the sponge and stick it back there, or maybe an under tank. I don't know. Get a heater. You need a heater. Okay. If you, well, depending on where you live, obviously. You do not want the temperature dropping. You do not want the temperature going too high. These guys are more sensitive to temperature than I've read, than I've been told, that I'm still being told. I have seen evidence to prove no, they are very sensitive to temperature, and I will now tell you what that experience is, because I think I've covered everything else in my previous video. Okay, so a week after, oh my gosh, this is a long, convoluted story. No, actually, I just want to tell you 4 incidences where I was very aware that temperature was a problem, either too high or too low. And I'm going to tell you that because it is very relevant to what's going on right now, or what's not going on, which is sad. Okay, so the first time I was aware the temperature was an issue, well, I've already told you when they were first acclimating, of course, but that was to be expected. And about a week after I did the last video, it was May, which is normally cold, but we've had a warm winter and a warm spring and a hot summer. It's not normal for where I live. May was very warm, so I had the landlord turned off the boiler, and that was fine because it was so warm. I have a space heater, so it wasn't a big deal if it did get chilly. It was in the 70s. Yeah. Well, a little after that happened, the temperature one night dropped almost to freezing. I was not aware that was going to happen, and very few people were, actually. It wasn't supposed to get that cold. It did. And in the morning I was so cold, and then my apartment was 60, and I didn't have the heat. Then the heater wasn't going to turn on, and I went and checked my aquariums. This aquarium was 60. It was ambient temperature. Okay, so the jellyfish. 2 of them were barely moving and just kind of suspended in the water and not pulsing much. And one of them was caught in those intake filters. I used my baster to create a water current to kind of sweep the fish away. Wow, this is boring, isn't it? There's nothing to look at. Here. I used the baster to sweep the thing away from the intakes, and it was torn almost in half. Yeah. That jellyfish was doomed. I was sure it was doomed. It flopped around to the bottom tank even after I warmed up the tank, after I warmed up the room. The jellyfish were, you know, pulsing and happy and swimming around and eating. They were so happy. It had everything to do with temperature. Now, you would think at 60 degrees they should be able to handle that. After it was a gradual change. It had to have been gradual. It was overnight. It had to have been a gradual change. And yet, I saw they were not pulsing. They were unhappy. One of them pulsed so little that it got caught in the intakes, the filter intakes there. Yeah, it was definitely temperature related. I tested the water. Yes, it was fine. It was temperature. And they were very happy once it warmed up. Except the one that was torn near in half. But here's the funny thing. That little thing, I did try to spot feed him, and he ate too. It was really weird. 3 days later, I'm not joking, 3 days later that thing was completely healed, as if nothing had happened. It was just half the size. That's what jellyfish do. If they don't get enough nutrients, they're going to shrink. It was half the size of the others and what it was originally. But it was alive and eating and swimming around and whole. You wouldn't even know it had been torn. Jellyfish are amazing at healing. Really amazing. And that was May. Alright, so it never really grew to the full size of the others. The others grew a bit, I think. June was hot. And I had a day where I was just enjoying how beautiful the weather was, and I didn't want to turn on the AC. And I didn't. And then I looked at my jellyfish tank, and they weren't pulsing much. And they were just floating again. And I was like, oh no, what's going on? Well, the temperature in the tank was 78. Oops. That's a little warm for a jellyfish. So, turned on the AC. About an hour later, they were swimming around as if nothing happened again. They were totally fine. Like I said, you watch your jellyfish, you know when something is wrong. Again, that was a temperature problem. It didn't happen in an instant, it happened gradually, and yet they still reacted to it. Okay, the worst thing happened a week ago, really. Well, other than this is the worst thing, sorry. So after that incident, I got a fan. You can't see. It's a fan. It was recommended on the Facebook group, which I really think can be very helpful. You really should talk to people, read about it, talk to people who've done it. Don't listen to people like me who only did it for almost 5 months. You got to talk to people who have actually kept the same jellyfish alive. Do not talk to people who have replaced their jellyfish like 10 times. Oh, it's a great tank. No, it's not. Also, yeah, if someone's telling you it's a great tank, but they had to modify this, that, and the other thing, it's not a great tank. Okay? It's a tank. It is not good enough. And since this system, they promote these for teachers and educational programs, no. Now, they do provide more support for them, but no. This is not, you can't be providing something like this to a teacher who has to keep an eye on the kids. They can't keep an eye on jellyfish getting caught in the intakes. They need to keep an eye on the students. No. Well, anyway, that was my rant. I knew I was going to rant at some point. So, I got this fan. The fan is great, okay? Absolutely great. Good idea. So glad it was recommended to me. Now, of course, I kept my AC lower. Yeah, I did that. So there was that too. So between the AC and this fan, I was able to keep it between 74 and 75. So let's see, what is it now? It is just about 75. Can you see that? Sorry. So much for focusing. All right, well, anyway, it says 74.9, and I have this strip as well, but the strip sucks, but it's kind of a backup. Okay. I'm getting to last week. We're getting there, folks. We're getting there. I'm trying to keep this under 20 minutes, honestly. Oh my gosh, 20 minutes of ranting and looking at dying jellyfish. Are you depressed now? Because I am. So, a week ago, with no temperature problems, the jellyfish that was smaller than the other two did get stuck and did tear itself again in the back. Yes, I should have replaced, or should have inserted a mesh to prevent that. I did not, and it died. Or rather, I removed it from the tank so that it could die. I didn't want it to die in the tank and foul the water. It was badly shredded, and I saw an immediate shrinkage, and I was sure it wasn't going to make it, so I pulled it out and put it in a bowl with an air pump, and it just, oh no, it didn't make it. That was not good. So I was down to 2 jellyfish. Yeah. So I was down to 2 jellyfish. Last week was weird. So, but I still had 2 healthy, happy jellyfish floating around. Water parameters are good. Everything's good. You know, same old, same old. I do enjoy having these. Well, not these, but, you know, I did enjoy having them. It was a great experience. I don't regret that. But last night, it's been in the 80s. It's late August. I have the AC running. It got down to 51 last night outside. I don't know how cold it got in my apartment, but I was cold in the morning. It was about 65 when I woke up. This tank was 67, and they looked like that. Absolutely horrifying. They weren't just, you know, slowly pulsing like I was telling you. Nuh-uh. They were like shriveled nightmares. They weren't that tiny, though. They practically shrank before my eyes. This has been this morning, and this is now, I don't know, 7 o'clock at night. So, it's taken a while, but... I didn't have the heart to just pull them out. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. Didn't want to water change because my water parameters were fine. Salinity was fine. I was worried I would stress them more and maybe they could recover once the water temperature warmed up. Oh, they didn't. No, they didn't. Oh, Lord, look at that little thing. That's sad. Man, my camera is not focusing today. Crap. Sorry. I did put a little food in there to see what would happen. Did I mention that? Obviously there's food in there. Nothing is what happened. They're gone. They're gone. So, the temperature must have dropped lower than 67. It's just once the sun came up, it started to warm up in my apartment. Now, I don't know how low the temperature it got. It couldn't obviously have gotten lower than 51, all right? That wouldn't have happened. I'm thinking 60 maybe. And it would have happened gradually from whatever it was, 75 down to 60. Okay, that's a significant change. But if you slowly acclimate these things, they should be able to handle that, right? They didn't. Now, I posted on the forum on the group going, this happened, you know. Drama. Well, I'm getting some useful advice. I mean, we're sitting here, I really do post to try to learn. I try to figure out what's going on. And of course everybody's like, oh, check your water, check your water. The water's fine. All right. The only thing that wasn't fine was the only thing that I could test that wasn't fine is the temperature. The temperature was lower, but 67 or even 60, they should be able to survive. They have survived. Remember when they first arrived, they were freezing. Well, not freezing, but they were very cold. And other folks get that experience as well. They're like, no, 60 should be fine. 67 should be fine. They shouldn't be doing this. There's something else going on. But I can tell you, I don't know what else is going on. I had no change in my procedure for water changes this weekend. This happened overnight. And yes, this can happen very, very quickly. That's not... if there's something wrong, you need to address it fast. Jellyfish will go down very fast. That is not what's unusual. What's unusual is it's a temperature, and it should have been a gradual change. Anyway, I'm turning into a rant again, so I'm going to cut this short. Too late. But I wanted you to know what happened, and they're gone. I'm not replacing them because this tank is not good for jellyfish. I'm not going to go through that again, okay? I will keep an eye on the company because I think they have some good ideas, and I want to see what they come up with next. Right now, this tank may be sufficient for my Pico reef tank idea. I've been tossing around forever. Maybe I'll finally do it because it does have a nice pocket in the bowl. Those of you who don't know, there's a division where the filter sponge is. There's a water air pump back there. I think I could turn that into a little a filter area or a refugium or just a... I don't know. Anyway, I have ideas. So tune in if I do another video of those. Another disaster. Oh my Lord. So I did enjoy having jellyfish. I'm not going to do them again until I see a better design tank. In the meantime, I do have a lot of... oh my gosh, I haven't done updates on my 10-gallon aquariums in over a year. I apologize. They've gone through so many changes, and I finally really feel like they're where they need to be. I just love that. You know when you have an aquarium and you have so many ideas for it, and you look at it and it's like, oh, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. Like my first 29, it's done. It's where it needs to be. I love it. It's beautiful. It gives me peace. My second 29, after I changed the lighting, it's not quite where I need it to be, but it's getting there and it's improving, and I'll do a video on that one. My other 10 gallons, 2 10 gallons, oh, they're wonderful. I've got to do videos on those. I've got a 12 gallon now you haven't seen. The snails that used to be on the desk where this thing is, they are now in a 2.5 gallon, the apple snails. They're in a 2.5 gallon, and they're actually doing better in the 2.5 than they ever did in the 5, and I think it's because I do larger water changes on that 2.5. So that's interesting. I broke down the 5. It's packed up someplace. I think I might try a reef. Oh, it's gonna be so tiny and horrible. But let's kill some more animals, right? No, but actually I just want to do like a coral and maybe a couple hermit crabs or something. Nothing crazy. Just want to see if I can do it. Well, there you are. I needed to tell you what was going on, and I needed to do my update. And I'm sorry it's such a downer. But for those of you who are interested in this company, keep an eye on them. Seriously, they've got some good ideas, and I think that they will continue to learn and improve. That's why I didn't get their other designs. I wasn't completely satisfied with their other designs, and I decided to wait and see what else they come up with. This they came up with, so I did the Kickstarter thing, and I was like, all right, let's try it. Don't regret that, but it didn't really work for me because I didn't control the temperature, and I didn't modify the tank so that the intakes were better for jellyfish, safer for jellyfish. The tank is not safe. So if you get one, please do what I told you before. Watch what brand distilled water you're getting. Put a mesh insert in the tank, and get yourself a heater, get yourself a chiller, and get yourself 2 thermometers. Okay? Enjoy, and I hope this helped. Well, looks like the kitten didn't make an appearance, so